A week before the start of their freshman year, my boyfriend decided to cancel his enrollment and retake the year with his first love. His first love teased him. "Didn't you both get into the same university? Are you planning to abandon her and run off with me?" My boyfriend paused for a moment, then casually replied, "I prepared a withdrawal application for her too. Just waiting for her to sign it. She will. Of course, after all, she's going to university for me." I stood outside the door, my nails digging deep into my flesh. I didn't go inside. Instead, I went home alone, tore up the application, and booked a high-speed train ticket to the university. He didn't know. Those 3 years of hard work, waking up early and staying up late, were never for him. I had always been obedient to him. In the end, we were two people on different paths. He stayed with his childhood sweetheart, while I set off to explore my new world. When Sylvia heard Harlan's words, she burst into laughter, nearly collapsing into him. Harlan sat on the sofa, his arm around Sylvia's waist, a smile on his lips, eyes filled with indulgence. It was the look I knew so well. Yet at this moment, it felt so foreign. I stood frozen, lost in thought. What did it mean to cancel enrollment and retake the year? What did he mean when he said he went to university for me? What did his words really mean? For 3 years, I had worked tirelessly, neglecting everything else, all to achieve the best possible score on the entrance exam. I wanted to go to a university. He did too. The day the admission notice arrived, I cried tears of joy in his arms. He said, "Why, Wei, I haven't let my youth down. Nor have I let you down." But now, he was going to retake the year, to be with his first love. And he made the decision without consulting me. Some in the room were confused and pressed him. "What if? Just what if? She refuses? Are you so sure Vera will follow you without a doubt?" Harlan scoffed. "You don't understand Vera. She's clingy, lacks a strong will. Though she throws occasional tantrums, she's never once rejected me. She even consults me when filling out her application." He shrugged. "You guys have no idea how annoying such a girlfriend can be." They laughed together. One person seemed unsure, still questioning, "Even if Vera signs it, can you be sure she's willing? Retaking the year is a huge deal. Are you sure she has no feelings about it?" Harlan pushed him lightly, his tone dismissive. "What are you worrying about? It's just retaking the year. How could she have any emotions? She'll probably be happy we can continue our high school romance." The person persisted. "I still don't think it's right. Why don't you talk to her about it?" Harlan kicked the coffee table, visibly annoyed. "What's there to discuss? I've prepared all the materials, filled out the application for her. All that's left is for her to sign it. Besides, if she knew I was going to retake the year with Sylvia, she'd definitely throw a tantrum." At this point, he furrowed his brow and glanced at Sylvia, who was in his arms. You know, Sylvia and I grew up together. She needs me more than Vera does. I can't just let her retake the year alone." Sylvia smiled sweetly and wrapped her arms around his neck. There was a moment of silence. Before someone spoke up, "Sylvia is beautiful and has a childlike nature. She'll definitely be bullied if she retakes the year alone." "Well, actually, Vera's not bad. Just a bit less than Sylvia. Maybe a 75 out of 100. Don't say that in front of Vera though. The jealousy between women can be terrifying. First loves and soulmates. TSK. Harlan, you sure have a lot of admirers." They laughed, their voices lewd and carefree. Harlan joined in their laughter. I watched through the crack in the door, seeing them shamelessly mock me, seeing Harlan remain unmoved. It felt as though my heart was being gripped by invisible hands, each breath sharp with pain. Just as Harlan had said. I wanted to yell at him. I wanted to grab him by the collar and demand an explanation. But in the end, I just tugged at the corners of my lips. And left alone. Back at home, I found the withdrawal application, the familiar handwriting before me. But Harlan's careless words echoed in my ears. Tears finally fell, big drops soaking the paper and blurring the ink. I had to tear the application into pieces. I still didn't understand. Why cancel the enrollment? Why make this decision just 1 week before the start of the semester? We worked hard for 3 years. Agreeing to go to the same university. To not waste our youth. To not let each other down. Was our shared future. Built on mutual effort. So insignificant in his eyes? He was willing to give up everything just to retake the year with someone else. Then why didn't he discuss it with me first? Why did he make the decision for me? If I was so annoying and indecisive. Then what about 2 years ago? On that sweltering evening study session? He confessed to me. And we promised to take the same university entrance exam. What was that promise worth? In my memories, Harlan was full of youthful ambition as he said, "I'm going to the same university as you. I want everyone to envy us. In high school and college. I'll be with my girlfriend at the same school." I cried for a long time. Until no more tears could fall. Only one thought grew clearer. I could never retake the year with him. Since we started dating, I never refused Harlan's requests. I always turned to him for help. Big or small. Everyone around us, including Harlan, assumed that Vera would never say no to him. But me going to university, it had nothing to do with Harlan. I wanted to learn new things. I wanted to shine in a field I loved. I didn't want to let my 3 years of hard work go to waste. All of this was for myself. And had nothing to do with Harlan or anyone else. I wiped my tears. Cleaned up the paper scraps on the floor. I booked a high-speed train ticket on my phone. Planning to leave early for a city. If he wanted to retake the year with his first love, then let him. We were, after all, two people on different paths. Leaving Harlan wasn't a big deal. I'm an adult. I have my own thoughts and a healthy body. I would have to grow up eventually. As for Harlan, who hasn't had a failed relationship, I washed my face. Just about to check my luggage. Harlan called me on video. I furrowed my brows. Hesitated for a moment. But answered the video call. Some things are better discussed clearly. Vera. Where are you? Oldley said he saw you earlier. We're just missing you. Why aren't you coming? Harlan's friends were having a farewell meal before the semester started. I wasn't supposed to go. But he insisted that they meet his girlfriend. Must have seen wrong. I'm not there. You guys. I hadn't finished speaking when a soft, girlish voice interrupted me. Harlan. Is your sister always this temperamental? Could it be that she doesn't welcome me? I told you. You should invite more girls. It's just a bunch of stinky guys here. I heard Harlan's deep chuckle. You talk too much. Who would dare not welcome you? We'd be glad to have you back. His group of friends teased. What do you mean by inviting more girls? You're the only girl here. In online terms, you're the group's darling. Come on. Harlan's just being a little extra nice to his sister. Don't get jealous. Vera. One of them said. Being Harlan's girlfriend means you can't be petty. Don't act like those little fairies on the internet. Another added. Sylvia rested her chin on Harlan's shoulder. Her posture affectionate. She poked Harlan's face. Your girlfriend's jealous of your sister. Harlan. Don't you need to comfort her? Well, maybe I should leave. You two lovebirds can't fight because of me. Harlan took her hand. Comfort her? Why? She's just throwing a tantrum, he said. Then let her be. I felt uncomfortable listening to them and quickly hung up the video call. After a while, Harlan sent me a message. What's going on with you now, Vera? Can you tone down that princess attitude? Do you get some kind of satisfaction hanging up on me in front of my friends? Do you know how much that hurt my pride? If you're not coming, then forget it. I bit my lip, my anger outweighing any sense of hurt. Again. Once more. We were fighting because of Sylvia. Harlan had a sister off campus. He skipped classes, exams, and got into fights because of her, leaving the teachers at the school in a constant state of frustration. At first, I thought his family must be struggling, that he was just going back and forth taking care of his sister. Later, I learned that this sister was his childhood sweetheart from his vocational school days. A very beautiful girl. Radiantly captivating. With a look that made you lose yourself in her eyes. When I was debating whether to eat or wash my hair, she was already wearing mature makeup and a sexy spaghetti strap top. The first time we met, She was leaning on Harlan's shoulder, laughing nonstop, asking him where he found this country bumpkin. Harlan didn't defend me, only shrugging helplessly. That was when we had our first fight. I cried and said I wanted to break up. Back then, he would still ask Sylvia to apologize to me. But after that, whenever Sylvia offended me, he would always defend her. That's just how she is. You should be more tolerant. She didn't mean any harm. It's just a joke. Are you being too sensitive? The last time we fought, Harlan took the initiative to make up with me. He gently ruffled my hair, his voice soft. I really just think of Sylvia as a sister. If I had feelings for her, we would have been together by now. You don't know her family's situation. She may look fierce, but she's just an insecure paper tiger. At 17, I listened to Harlan's words, learned about Sylvia's family, and empathized with her. I stopped mentioning breakups. I even convinced myself they were childhood sweethearts. If they liked each other, there would be no room for someone like me to interfere. But what I didn't know was how they defined closeness. They were inseparable, eating and living together. Harlan would even bring Sylvia along on our dates, afraid she might feel insecure. Just like now. Sylvia failed her college entrance exams, and Harlan said he would repeat the year for her. Maybe I should have broken up with him much earlier. It was too exhausting. It was just too tiring. Breaking up was the best choice. I lay on my bed, replaying everything that had happened over the years, not noticing the constant stream of messages popping up on my chat. You're really not coming? Wait. Are you seriously mad? Is it really because we only have one girl at the dinner table? Is it that big of a deal? She's just a little girl. The messages were sent 5 minutes ago. I scanned through them briefly, sent him a breakup message, and then blocked and deleted him. I quickly did the same for his group of friends. The next day, I decided to cheer myself up and pick out a few new clothes. New clothes. New me. In a few days, I would leave for a university. It's funny how life has a way of crossing paths. As soon as I entered the store, I bumped into Harlan and Sylvia. The sales assistant came forward to greet me warmly. Hearing the noise, Sylvia, hanging on Harlan's arm, looked over. She flashed a smile, leaning in closer to Harlan in a somewhat provocative manner. Harlan glanced at me coldly, his expression indifferent. I knew he was waiting for an apology from me, waiting for an explanation. But I didn't want to, and I wasn't going to give him any response. I hadn't done anything wrong. I followed the sales assistant to another area. She was enthusiastically introducing the clothes when suddenly, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned instinctively, and there, in front of me, was Harlan's cold face. Vera, we need to talk. Annoyed, I shifted my gaze away. His expression grew even more impatient, as if I had done something unforgivably wrong. I moved a few steps to the left, trying to distance myself from him. Harlan grabbed my arm and pulled me back. Looks like you've grown some guts. Huh? Now you're talking about breaking up. Look at you. You never talk and always throw a tantrum. Who else would put up with you? If not me. I sneered and shot back. Stop trying to manipulate me. When I say break up, it means break up. A good ex should be like a dead person. Harlan tightened and his grip on my hand, clicking his tongue. Fine. Fine. Miss Princess. You really don't care. Just don't go crying to your best friends for comfort after the breakup. With that, he released my hand. I rubbed my arm in pain and turned to leave. But Harlan walked over quickly and blocked my way. Vera, I left something for you. Make sure to check it when you get home. Or maybe, wait until you've calmed down, so you don't do something irreversible out of anger. I looked at him expressionlessly. What is it? Is it that important? He seemed a bit guilty under my gaze, hesitating to speak. At that moment, Sylvia came over, holding to skirts. Harlan, can you help me see which one of these skirts looks better on me? She winked at me triumphantly. After all, you're the one with a girlfriend, so you must have way more experience than old Lee and his bunch of straight guys. Harlan quickly turned his body, his eyes fixed on the two skirts. Though his words were directed at me, you'll see when you get home. It's something important. Once we're apart, you won't even have a place to cry. Dara. You've got to take responsibility for yourself. It seemed he didn't understand human speech. I cursed him silently under my breath. Harlan was confident that once I got home and saw the withdrawal application, I'd immediately sign it and follow him to retake the year. But he still hadn't said it outright. He was afraid that I'd get upset and have a fight with his first love. After all, I was the clingy, indecisive, jealous girlfriend. But I was already ready to go to university. No one could change my plans. I walked out of the shop. All this commotion had made me realize I hadn't had dinner. The hunger hit me only now. After everything that happened, I casually found a restaurant. By the time I was halfway through my meal, the place had filled up with people. I didn't know who took my phone. But when I looked up, there was Harlan, holding my phone in one hand, fiddling with it. Sylvia was still clinging to Harlan's arm, greeting me enthusiastically. I was immediately furious. I reached out, wanting to grab my phone back, give it back. Harlan deliberately raised the phone, raising an eyebrow. Sure. If you take me off your blacklist, I'll give it back. Dara, you're so heartless. Keeping your husband on the blacklist for a whole day without releasing him. I felt speechless. Gradually calming down, and called over the waiter. He stole my phone. Can you please call the police? Thank you. The waiter eyed them cautiously, pulling out his phone to call the police. Harlan snorted and handed me my phone. Call the police on your husband. Baby, sorry. You're so clever. After saying that, the two of them sat down across from me. The waiter sensed the tension and quickly left. I ignored the two of them, treating them as though they weren't there. Maybe my cold reaction bothered Harlan, because his expression shifted to one of displeasure. His gaze was ice cold. In the midst of the silence, Sylvia's sweet voice rang out. Harlan, the couple's meal looks so delicious. Let's order this one. She looked up from the menu and flashed a small smile at me. Dara, you won't mind, right? After all, you and Harlan aren't together anymore, so you can't have the couple's meal. Harlan's eyes were fixed on me, waiting for my response. After all, in the past, I would have gotten angry, questioning him about why he was having a couple's meal with another girl. Anything's fine. It's your choice what to eat. Harlan sighed. But Sylvia laughed. Your ex is really jealous. Harlan, you should go and calm her down. Harlan let out a cold snort, but his expression softened. Ugh. Having a jealous girlfriend is so troublesome. Anyway, having fulfilled my obsession, I'm going to the bathroom. Sylvia propped herself up on Harlan's arm and accidentally lost her balance, falling into his arms. She was wearing an off-shoulder short skirt, and when she fell, her chest was right against Harlan's nose. I saw Harlan holding Sylvia by the waist, the two of them close, as if they didn't plan on separating. I had told myself countless times to stay away from Harlan, to give up on him, but seeing him so intimate with another person still made me feel hurt. My nose suddenly tingled. Having my ex-boyfriend in front of me for even a sec and was enough to break my heart. So why couldn't he just disappear? This thought was dark and extreme. I quickly finished the last bite of my meal, escaping the restaurant as though fleeing. There were a lot of people on the street. Maybe it was my pride, but I unconsciously forced my tears back. I walked slowly in the direction of home, gradually processing my negative emotions. This was terrible. Dara. Harlan caught up with me in a few steps and pulled me into a quieter area. I struggled, trying to shout and draw attention from passersby. He covered my mouth. Still angry? Just because I'm with Sylvia? Dara. How do you still not understand? Sylvia is fragile and sensitive. She needs my company. I furrowed my brow and retorted. What does that have to do with me? Why should I understand? He released his hold on me, blocking my path, half holding, half hugging me in a manner that felt almost like confinement. He must have rushed out. He smelled of sweat. It was unbearable. I instinctively tried to hold my breath. Harlan's hand rested on my waist. Little drama queen. You're terrifying when you're angry. Even blocked me. Don't forget to take me off the blacklist. How about I take you to eat some little cakes? Let's go home and get some good rest. By the way, remember to look at what I gave you. I didn't respond. Just silently pushed him away. Reaffirming my stance, Harlan. I want to break up. His smile froze. And there was a hint of displeasure in his eyes. Dara. You read our lol sigh. Harlan. I think I left my skirt at the store we were at earlier. Can you go with me to get it? I should have known you were just messing with me. I shouldn't have come. Sylvia's unexpected interruption gave me the chance. I broke free from Harlan's grip and ran in the direction of home. Sylvia jogged ahead and blocked my path. Don't be angry. Dara. Actually, calling you sister-in-law would make you happier. Right? Sister-in-law. You've ruined Harlan's good mood with all this drama. You're his girlfriend. You should think about him more. I snorted coldly. Unable to hold back my sarcasm, I broke up with him. You can be his girlfriend now. And think about him all you want. I brushed past her. Sylvia, a true actress, stumbled a few steps before falling to the ground. She winced in pain, tears falling like pearls from a broken string. Harlan, your girlfriend is too much. If she hates me, she should just say it. Why did she have to push me? We grew up together. Is it so wrong for us to be close? Harlan, heart-aching for Sylvia, couldn't stand her being hurt. And his anger flared. He carefully helped her up. Dara. Don't go too far. No matter how angry you are, you shouldn't push people. You should apologize. We're going to the same school. Maybe even the same class. If you keep playing these games, how will you study? I looked coldly at the two of them, snuggled together. You love studying so much. Go study on your own. Goodbye, ex-boyfriend. I turned and walked away, ignoring Harlan's angry shouts. 2 days later, sitting in the waiting hall, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. I had a feeling I knew who it was, but I answered the phone anyway. Dara, still throwing a tantrum? What happened that day was your fault. Forget it. I'll just tell you. I made a copy of the withdrawal application for you. I filled it out for you. Just remember to sign it. We'll definitely score higher on the next entrance exam. Baby, why is it so noisy where you are? Harlan was still the same. He approached me with a sense of charity, trying to make amends. There was a time when I liked him so much that I couldn't bear to see him bow his head. Every time he spoke, my heart would soften. After all, he was my first love. The one I had imagined and spending my life with. But now, I saw him clearly. Even though there was still a bit of subconscious pity for him, I wouldn't regret my decision. He didn't wait for my reply and just continued talking. Oh, by the way, I visited the area near the new school. The conditions there are much better than at our old school. I'm planning to enroll after the National Day holiday, leaving some time to rest. And maybe travel. Where do you want to go? Dara, why aren't you saying anything? Where are you? It's so noisy over there. Harlan, full of enthusiasm, was already planning his life for the repeated school year. Just like before the college entrance exams when he painted a beautiful picture of our college life together. I could almost hear his condescending tone. See? I care about you so much. I'm including you in my future. I took a deep breath and interrupted his daydreams. Harlan, why are you repeating the year? Why didn't you discuss it with me first? I could feel my voice shaking. Truthfully, Henningfell stilled my sigh. I still wanted to hear him say it, so I could give up on him completely. Only then could I truly move on, pursue my own future. There was silence on the other end for a while before a low chuckle came through. Dara, I didn't tell you in advance because I was thinking of you. You're always angry. If I had told you earlier, you wouldn't have spoken to me for the entire summer. Be good. You have to have faith in me and in yourself. We can try again. We'll definitely do well on the exams and go to the same university. I remained silent, taking every word to heart. Up until now, he still had this attitude. Fine. Let it be. I exhaled a sigh of relief. I didn't listen to his rambling anymore and hung up the phone. I sat quietly in the airport lounge. This was the feeling of finally letting go of someone. Disgust, resentment, mixed with helplessness. And then, peace. It was for the best. When I finally checked into the hotel, I was so tired I fell asleep instantly. When I woke up, it was already evening. I pulled out my phone. Messages and missed calls had flooded in. The first one I opened was from my best friend Nora, as she had sent the most messages. Vera. Harlan cheated. WTF. How shameless. Wait. What do you mean, he dumped you? This guy is spewing nonsense. 666. The stupid guys in his class are all supporting him. My brain froze for a moment. Then I remembered everything that had happened. I opened the picture Nora had sent. In the image, Sylvia was smiling brightly while holding up her phone. The caption in the phone's memo read, "This road is hard, but I'm glad to have you with me. My brother. My boyfriend." Harlan's caption was, "A girlfriend who truly understands me. Someone I know inside and out." Many people in the class stayed silent. But his group of friends were all liking and commenting, offering their congratulations. He only replied to one. "What's going on? Did you break up with Vera? She's so annoying. Always throwing tantrums." He found his understanding childhood sweetheart, seamlessly replacing me. My first reaction was relief. At least we had broken up. I chatted briefly with Nora. While in my mind, I cursed him with all my heart, may he fail the exams, and have bad luck in everything. I didn't know how Harlan had so many phones. Another unfamiliar call came in while I was brushing my teeth. I answered without thinking. "Still mad? Miss Princess. Should be over it by now. I ordered you some milk tea. And I booked the restaurant you've been wanting to go to. How about I take you to a nice meal?" I didn't respond. And Harlan kept talking, completely ignoring my silence. "You don't know how popular that restaurant is. It's really hard to get a reservation. But since you like it, I couldn't say no. I even bought a new camera to take photos of you." I quietly looked out the window. And there was a brief pause from him. "Don't want to talk to me? Why's your temper so bad lately?" "Forget it. If you don't want to talk, I'll talk. I'm thinking of going to a city before school starts." "You wanted to go to a university, right? Since we have some free time, we can check out the campus beforehand. I remember Lao Zhang also applied to a university. So we can go watch his military training." I stood up slowly and walked to the hotel window. In the distance was a university. The very place I had been striving to get into. "I hope you never get in." "No need. I'm not in the mood. Give the milk tea to the delivery guy." "I don't want it." Harlan was confused. "Are you sure? This is your dream university." When I suggested applying to be university, you didn't agree. We broke up. Harlan. I good ex should be like a dead person. I cut him off and said it seriously. His voice was full of displeasure. "Why? Just because of the repeating year? It's only one more year. Not a big deal." I replied seriously, "Yes. Exactly because of that. You already had this plan the day the results came out, but you waited until just before school starts to tell me. Or rather, hint at me. Harlan. You never took me seriously. Breaking up with me was just a way to end those rumors. And now you're with Sylvia. You two can go to a city together. I won't be joining you." He laughed bitterly in anger. "So that's it? You're mad just because of Sylvia? Vera. Can you be a little more reasonable? You know what happened with Sylvia. Her mom passed away in a car accident before senior year. And she only scored 200 in the exams. She wants to repeat the year. Wants to go to a better university. So what's wrong with her checking out a university?" It was the first time I had heard Harlan yell at a girl in such an angry tone. I never thought he'd direct such anger at me. Emotions are contagious. I was so furious I wanted to yell back. But the words that came out were different. "That's her business. What does it have to do with me? Harlan. You're playing knight in shining armor for her. But what about me? What am I? You can go. All of you. Go as far away as you can. I don't want to see you at school." Harlan's patience had worn thin. "Fine. Vera. You win. I'll take her. You handle the next month yourself." We both hung up the phone almost simultaneously. I leaned against the wall, thinking over the conversation. I was resolute about the breakup, But I had been ambiguous about his repeating the year. He thought I signed the papers. That I'd go to the same school. That everything would go according to his plan. I'm no saint. I hope Harlan repeats the year. And that he and Sylvia end up together. May they both fail. And stay as far away from me as possible. Just then, a text message popped up on my phone. Tone down your temper. There's no one in the new class who'll pamper you. TSK, heading so fail wide say. I forgot to block him. I sat on the hotel sofa, hugging my knees. I realized I wasn't as calm as I thought. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. And the angrier I got, the more I couldn't stop thinking. How could someone be so shameless? Going out with his current girlfriend while still entangling his ex-girlfriend, who wanted to meddle in their childhood sweetheart drama. I forced myself to clear my mind, tidied up my mood, and went for a stroll outside. Time quickly passed. And it was soon the first day of the new semester. The senior students were all so enthusiastic. I couldn't resist and got myself a campus card. And also added a seniors WeChat. The busy days of the semester quickly eased my negative emotions. What had happened before was tossed out of my mind. And all I could focus on was the present. In the evening, just after getting out of the shower, another unfamiliar number sent me a text. Dara, this is the last time I'm giving in. Stop throwing tantrums. I'm about to leave with Sylvia. Are you coming? I didn't reply, instead turning to dry my hair and wash my clothes. When I picked up my phone again, I could clearly sense that Harlan was getting anxious. Dara, Nora said you wouldn't come with me to retake the year. And now you're telling me to get lost. What's that supposed to mean? Have you signed it yet? Or did you not submit the application? Do you know the deadline is September 15th? Harlan. We broke up. After sending this message, I added him to my blacklist again. But Harlan, like a clingy plaster, wouldn't let go. He had even gotten a high school classmate to send me a message. Sylvia said you're upset because of her. She cried for a long time. Did you know? You weren't like this before. I can't stand you anymore. We're breaking up. I flipped him off on my friend circle. I didn't bother to check what my friends were saying about me in private. I had more important things to do, like preparing for the upcoming military training. My body, which had been idle for nearly 3 months, was finally getting some exercise. Standing in military posture, practicing squats, marching, hikinging. Every day I was so exhausted I could faint. Back in the dorm, after a quick wash-up, I opened my rain god, Weibo, and silently prayed for rain. Harlan couldn't stir up any waves in my life anymore, because I had already turned into a stagnant pool. On the other hand, Nora was full of energy, cursing him every day. Harlan and Sylvia had really arrived at a university. Nora sent me a picture of them in front of the school gates. The caption read, "One day, I'll be here too." Nora was so mad her teeth were grinding. And she left a sharp comment, "Where did this bee come from?" I silently agreed. There were many tourist spots in a city. And the places Harlan took Sylvia to were all places we had once promised to visit together. Fortunately, instinctively, I had already desensitized myself. These places I wanted to go to, I could go on my own. And I could go with Nora. A few days after military training, it was the National Day holiday. I happened to be wandering around a city during this time. One of my roommates was a local. She was very friendly and became my online tour guide. Nora flew into a city that evening. We ate and took photos, ticking off our list of places. Just as I was about to drag her to the next spot, Nora suddenly went cold. Has he settled in a city? I looked at her, slightly puzzled, following her gaze. Harlan was wearing a black shirt, tall and slender, but his face was dark with bruises. I silently thought, senior year really does age people. Harlan saw me too. He hurried over to me. I went back to school to get my files the other day, and the teacher said they didn't have your file. Vera, you took it, didn't you? His tone was urgent, as if he was desperately waiting to hear an answer he could accept. But unfortunately for him, Harlan, I never agreed to retake the year with you. The light in his eyes instantly faded, and his lips twisted into a bitter smile. You're kidding, right? It's been my fault. I've neglected you. But don't joke about this. Breaking up wasn't my real intention. We're still together. I've rented a place off campus already. It's decorated in your favorite style. I'll help you move your things. Your books. Okay? I nearly laughed at how speechless I was. I took my student ID out of my bag. Harlan. My stance has always been clear. First, I won't retake the year with you. Second, I'm breaking up with you. It seems like you've been living in your own world. Unable to hear anything. When Harlan saw the student ID, his face visibly panicked. Why? We promised to always be together. Didn't we? Isn't it because you saw Nora's post that you're angry? Were you planning to hide it from me all along? I looked at him. And I couldn't see any trace of the Harlan from 2 years ago. My tone softened. You were the one who broke our promise first. Harlan, hadden fulfilled me. You're too confident. You were so sure I would follow you. But I'm not your puppet. I have my own thoughts. And I don't want to be a part of your flirting with Sylvia. That's disgusting. Harlan suddenly turned his head, looking at Nora beside me. I clearly blocked you. It's Nora who showed you. I get it now. You're angry because of that post, right? It was like he had found a lifeline. Vera. I wasn't dating her. During that time, Sylvia was being harassed, and we came up with this plan to show she had a boyfriend to make that guy back off. She's had a rough time. I've always treated her like a little sister. Is it wrong to protect my little sister? At this point, Harlan still didn't understand the core of the conflict. Yes, Sylvia's father was arrested for domestic violence. And her mother died in a car accident. She was pitiful. I once sympathized with her. Tried to befriend her. Until I realized her feelings for Harlan. She flaunted it. Saying I would never succeed in coming between them. I had once tried to prove myself. To show them I could fit into their world. But his friends never took me seriously. Now I understand. It was all because of Harlan's indulgence. If he truly loved me, respected me, why would he allow his friends and childhood sweetheart to humiliate me? He didn't care about me. He never considered my feelings. He never consulted me when making decisions. Harlan. Maybe from the beginning. We've always been on different paths. You can go be with Sylvia. And I'm going to pursue my university life. We both get what we want. This is the best arrangement. Harlan stood frozen. Unable to comprehend. He would never understand. I didn't intend to continue talking to him. There was no point in explaining any further. It was better to save my energy and visit the next tourist spot. The National Day holiday ended quickly. I slowly adjusted to the rhythm of university life. This lifestyle made me happy. It continued like this until finals. After the exams, I returned home. When I saw Harlan, I was still in shock. Isn't he supposed to be repeating the year? Why does he look so free? Harlan looked at me with hopeful eyes. Nervously asking. Vera, it's been a while. There's a new dessert shop on this street. Want to check it out? No. I'm meeting Nora. I don't have time. I rejected him without hesitation. Harlan paused for a moment. His eyes fixed on me without blinking. Finally, having fulfilled he spoke his mind. Vera. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I was too confident. Thinking you would definitely sign the papers and go to repeat the year with me. But my confidence was all because of you. If it weren't for you. I pushed my suitcase toward him, interrupting his words. Stop. 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 Don't blame me for everything. It was you who wanted to repeat the year with Sylvia. Your confidence wasn't something I nurtured. It's just who you are, arrogant and selfish. I don't know which part of my words hit him. But he suddenly shoved my suitcase away and grabbed my shoulders with force. But why didn't you talk to me? Vera. I really like you. If you had said something, I would have respected you and not made you repeat the year. Actually, I don't have to repeat the year. I can go to university with you. As for Sylvia, I was wrong. I wanted to make you jealous. Wanted to see if you cared about me. I misjudged the boundaries and made you sad. I broke free from his grip and clearly told him. Harlan. You're the one who caused all of this. There's no way we can be together anymore. You just don't understand yet. Harlan really didn't understand. Even after a whole semester. He still couldn't figure it out. He looked at me with confusion and disbelief, muttering, "Vera, you're not like this. How could you reject me? Sylvia said that as an orphan. You've always lacked love. Your grandmother was too old. She shouldn't have raised you like this. Especially after she passed away. You should have relied on me more." I stopped in my tracks, biting my lip. I've always wanted to be dignified. Every time I confronted Harlan, I tried my best to keep my composure. I didn't want to become a hysterical madwoman. But how dare he casually comment on my family? How dare he speak about my grandmother? I couldn't care about dignity anymore. I opened the door and began throwing everything I could grab at him. Harlan was stunned by the sudden barrage. I went mad, grabbed a kitchen knife, and pointed it at him. My eyes were bloodshot, and I almost screamed. "Harlan, do you think it's fun to make my family your after-dinner topic?" He covered his forehead when I'd thrown a glass at him, and it was bleeding. Only then did he realize he had said the wrong thing. He tried to explain. I didn't give him a chance, raising the knife as if I would strike him. I couldn't even tell if my reaction was real or just for show. He hurriedly ran downstairs, glancing back at me, wanting to say something but stopping himself when he met my cold, murderous gaze. He swallowed his words and fled with a hurried sorry. On New Year's Day, I went to the cemetery and told my grandmother about everything I had seen and experienced this semester. I was adopted by my grandmother from an orphanage. That day, my grandmother had been smiling and holding my hand as we walked down the street. "I don't have much, but I have a little money. Raising a child is just right for me." Later, I learned that my grandmother didn't have nothing. She had a husband and children, but she had rejected them. My grandmother had once been a teacher at a university. She had been full of passion, hoping to make a career at the university. Then her husband betrayed her, and her children abandoned her. She left the place where she was heartbroken and returned to her hometown. She wanted to go back, but couldn't take that step. I was lucky. I was lucky to meet my grandmother. I was lucky to spend 15 years with her. I was lucky to get into a university. The luckiest thing was that I inherited my grandmother's last name. When I left the cemetery that day, it suddenly began to snow lightly. "Vera, you see, Vera became your alumni. And how fortunate I am to have found the textbook you helped write back then." When I got home, I received an unfamiliar call. Without saying a word, I hung up and blocked the number. But they didn't give up. I don't know how many phone numbers they changed, but they kept calling. I answered. A woman's voice immediately came through. "You're Vera, right? I'm Harlan's mom. Harlan's in trouble. I don't know what you've done to my son, but I warn you, if anything happens to him, I'll make you pay." I almost laughed. I secretly wondered if Harlan's family was running a phone-selling racket. "Aunt, if something's wrong with his body, please take him to the People's Hospital. If it's a mental issue." I didn't finish my sentence. She should understand what I meant. There was a lot of shouting on the other end. Then the voice suddenly changed. "Vera, I'm sorry. Can you give me another chance? I'll come to a university to find you. I can't let go of you. I really like you." His voice was so loud that I frowned. "Harlan, maybe you should see someone. Paranoia can be dangerous. My life doesn't need you. Like I said before, get as far away from me as you can." There was no response for a long time. And then I heard him sobbing. "I understand," he said quietly. Harlan never appeared again. But every year during the holidays, I would receive packages from my hometown. I never accepted them, and had them all returned. Later, I heard from Nora that Harlan had done poorly on his college entrance exams. Sylvia had suddenly gone mad and scratched his right hand. That was the official story. Some repeat students who knew him said that Harlan hadn't taken the repeated years seriously. His mock exams had been disastrous. He didn't resemble the top student he had once been in high school. He had just found a convenient scapegoat. Sylvia had conveniently given him that opportunity. The once overly confident Harlan, who didn't take repeating seriously and even wanted to cancel his enrollment, ended up repeating for the second time. I only smiled when I heard this. Years later, when I was accepted into graduate school, I received my admission notice along with an invitation to Harlan's wedding. I didn't go, but the class group was buzzing. Harlan had failed after repeating for years and decided to go back home to marry. On the wedding day, a pregnant Sylvia burst in, crying and clinging to Harlan, demanding he take responsibility. The incident became a scandal, spreading for months and even making the local news. But my attention didn't linger on it for long. My professor had sent a message I had a group meeting to attend. My future was bright and shining. They say the wedding 7 years ago was the most absurd joke in high society. The irony is that I never imagined that 7 years later, I would walk back into his line of sight in the same hotel, the same banquet hall, and even on the same red carpet, wearing a different wedding dress. This time, however, the man I held was the one he hated most, Kwana. And behind me followed 2 identical little boys with eyes like his. He stood at the end of the red carpet, his eyes more disheveled than they had been 7 years ago. Dressed in a crisp tailored suit, his shirt unbuttoned and tie askew, he looked like he had sprinted all the way here, panting but still heart-wrenchingly handsome. Too bad. I had grown tired of the sight. Are you insane? His voice was hoarse as he stepped closer. Each word gritted out. You married Kwana? He's my archenemy? I raised an eyebrow and smiled. Yes, and unfulfilled mindset. It's quite fitting. I released Kwana's hand and knelt to adjust Leo and Liam's bowed eyes. Dressed in tiny black suits, they stood on either side of me, wearing polite smiles like meticulously trained gentlemen. Mommy, Leo whispered. That uncle keeps staring at us. Is he crazy? No, no. I patted his head gently, my voice flat and indifferent. He's your ex-father prototype. Ethan's face paled, and he almost snarled. Are they my children? Only now do you want to ask? I smiled faintly and turned to face the media camera's countless flashes now flooded focused on me and the boys. They take the surname Kwana, I said firmly. This is my husband, Kwana. His gaze shattered instantly. I would never forget that day. The day I thought I had finally married into a wealthy family and found happiness. At the top of a 5-star hotel, surrounded by hundreds of high society guests, with spotlights, flowers, champagne, what on a low sigh, and a red carpet. Everything was as perfect as a dream. Until the groom disappeared. Miss Lewis. We can't get through to Sir's phone. The wedding planner, sweating profusely, squawked in my ear like a doomed chicken. I stood in front of the vanity mirror, wearing the wedding dress Ethan had chosen himself. My fingers icy, my heart clamped by an invisible vice. Guests began to whisper. My mother-in-law's face darkened. The entire scene teetered on collapse. I dialed 26 times. He didn't answer. I didn't know then where he had gone. Only that he had rushed to the hospital to see her, because of a sudden car accident. That her was what he called his past first love, whose funeral had supposedly ended 3 years ago, but who had reappeared 7 days before our wedding. The car accident, the coma, had fulfilled my obsession. The awakening, it all unfolded like a script written for my wedding day. Everyone said she was on the brink of death, that he had to go. But who cared about me? Who asked whether a bride, a band, and by her groom was also on the brink? I stood at the center of the banquet hall, the lights blazing on my face, the red carpet empty. Guests snickered. My mother-in-law muttered. I knew she couldn't hold our family together. In that moment, my pride was peeled away layer by layer. I even heard the photographer ask, should we cancel the live broadcast? Then Kwana appeared. He stood outside the crowd in a black suit, his gaze sharp as a blade, walking slowly toward me and extending his hand. Marry me, he said. I looked at him, on the verge of collapse. Are you crazy? Not crazy. Just trying to save you. He smirked. And maybe piss off Ethan while I'm at it. I don't know how I took his hand. Maybe because in that moment, I refused to lose. Or because I was too desperate, too humiliated, too eager to clutch at a lifeline. We signed a marriage contract in the very hall that was supposed to be mine and Ethan's. I publicly changed into another wedding dress, trading the one adorned with Ethan family jewels for a custom black gown sent by the Kwana family. The guests gasped, the media exploded, and Ethan, didn't appear at the hospital until 2 a.m. Too late to witness his own wedding. Too late for his bride. All he saw was a news headline. A band and bride marries business rival on the spotty family wedding in shambles. Kwana Klantz suspected of meddling. That night, I fevered into delirium. When Kwana rushed me to the hospital, the doctor's face was as grim as death. My temperature was 39.8 C. My blood pressure plummeting. My uterus contracting prematurely. As the doctor shouted for an emergency C-section, they slapped a critical condition consent form on my chest. The pregnancy is underdeveloped. We can only save the mother or the children. When I heard those words, I dimly thought they were talking about someone else. But the ripping pain in my abdomen told me no, this, either or choice was mine. Kwana didn't hesitate, say both. What if you have to choose? Her. He said immediately. Without a moment's pause. Save her. When he signed the forms outside the operating room, the doctors and nurses were stunned. Aren't you her husband? I am now. He said, his gaze ironclad. And I always will be. My last words before losing consciousness were gritted at the doctor. I want both of them alive. The children were my final gamble. Not to prove something to Ethan, but to see if I still deserved to live to become someone new. That night, under the cold surgical lights, I gave birth to twins. They were so tiny that in the incubator, they looked like newly hatched sparrows. Leo was born first. Silent and uncrying. Liam arrived 3 minutes later, screaming hoarsely. Lying on the operating table, too exhausted to even shed tears. I could only whisper 2 words. Are they alive? Alive, the doctor said. Both alive. I finally passed out. For the next 7 years, I never set foot in the Ethan family's world again. Kwana and I went to the UK, gave me a marriage certificate, a company, 2 bodyguards, and an identity. He never touched me. Our marriage was a transaction from start to finish. I'll give you status. You give me a chip for revenge. And the children. We'll raise them together. He glanced at the boys, 1-month-old photos, and smiled faintly. Maybe one day, they'll be the weapon to crush the Ethan family. I thought I would be grateful. But later I realized no one can truly save you. I was the one who survived that operating table, crawled out of the ruins, and endured countless nights of fevers, seizures, midnight vomits, and empty bank accounts with my 2 children. I did regret it sometimes. Why didn't I abort them? Why didn't I cut ties cleanly? But every night when I woke to Leo clutching my finger or Liam murmuring, "Mommy," I knew I had not lost. Ethan could vanish from my most humiliating wedding. But he had no right to claim anything now that I had won back my life. These 2 children were the ultimate counterattack in my life. 7 years later, I returned as Mrs. Kwana. Leo and Liam were named as heirs to the Kwana family empire. And the Ethan family was already crumbling. They didn't know yet that the deadliest blow had not yet fallen. The side door of the banquet hall opened quietly, and Ethan froze in his tracks. The 2 boys stood before him, left and right, calm, wary, and eerily quiet for children their age. Their eyes were identical to his those Ethan family bloodline features his mother had always praised: thick brows, deep eye sockets, aquiline noses, even the contour of their lips like stamped molds. His throat tightened. Are they? He croaked. Mine? I gently stepped in front of Leo. What do you think? I asked. Liam looked up at him and said bluntly, "We don't have a dad." Ethan flinched as if slapped. He knelt, trying to smile gently at the boys. I'm your." Leo took a step back, his tone disturbingly calm. Who are you? His hand froze my jaw, like a joint locked in ice. Their names are Leo and Liam, I interrupted. After 7 years. This is the first time you've seen them. You don't deserve to call their names. Kwana chose that moment to stride through the crowd, unhurried but radiating undeniable authority. He casually draped an arm over Leo's shoulder. Children don't like noisy people. Ethan stared at Kwana, his eyes murderous. You planned this, he hissed. From that day you stole her. And you stole my children. Kwana chuckled. Wrong. They were never yours. Leo blinked up at the adults. Mommy. Is this uncle crazy? He says he's my dad. But we have a dad. Yes, right? I stroked his hair. Your dad is Kwana. Ethan's fists clenched. His face deathly pale. In that moment, he finally understood, this was not a past he could reclaim, but a future he would never enter. He had missed not just a wedding, but an entire lifetime of growth. His children's first crawl, first words, first cold, first daddy, but that word would never be for him. At the end of the banquet, he sat at a mostly empty table, staring at the floor, motionless. He didn't notice me standing behind him. Do you know why I never contacted you? I asked. He didn't look back. Because I'm afraid I can't help it. Tell you the children are yours, I said. But I'm more afraid you'll only come to take them away. Not raise them. You deserve to be a father. But you don't deserve to be their home. The E family finally couldn't sit still. Early the next morning, a black Rolls-Royce stopped at the gates of the Kwana family villa. The person who stepped out was none other than Ethan's mother, the same mother-in-law who had once said to my face, "Someone like you isn't even worthy of being a surrogate for the E family." She was still dressed in a Chanel suit, carrying an LV limited edition bag, her expression haughty as if she'd never said a wrong word 7 years ago. I was holding Liam, just back from piano lessons, and saw her standing at the door from a distance, wearing the air of "we're here to sort out family business." Kwana wasn't home. He'd gone abroad on a project, specifically leading behind a team of lawyers and bodyguards, as if he'd known this battle was inevitable. "Mrs. Lewis," she said coolly behind sunglasses, her tone falsely polite. "I've come with sincerity this time. I don't have the last name Lewis," I interrupted. "And I don't want to hear your hypocritical nonsense." Her face froze for a moment. Then she quickly regained her smile. "I heard the children are Ethan's, they're flesh and blood of the E family. Our family is willing to welcome them back and give them the best education and future." I looked down at Liam, who was clutching his favorite dinosaur plushie, eyeing her warily. "They don't lack education, resources, or a future now," I said slowly. "Do they need a fake family that didn't show up at the delivery room, stayed absent for 7 years, and now suddenly wants to acknowledge one's ancestors and return to the clan?" Her face darkened. "Don't push your luck. Do you think Kwana can protect you forever? He's Ethan's mortal enemy. Making the children take the Kwana surname is an insult to their biological father." I laughed. "But do you know what's really an insult?" I took a step forward, my gaze icy. 7 years ago, when I went to the E family home pregnant to retrieve the contract I'd signed before the wedding, begging you to return my honor and dignity. Who said, "You'd better have an abortion, we E family won't want such a bastard"? Her face paled. My voice grew softer. "Now, the bastard has become a hot commodity, hasn't he?" Just then, Leo came down the stairs, carrying his school bag, looking confused. "Mommy. Who is she?" "Nothing," I said coldly. "Someone trying to steal you and your brother back." Leo glanced at her and said calmly, "If she's a bad person, I can call the police." In that instant, the E family matriarch's face turned as pale as if someone had poured a bucket of ice water over her. Before she left, she threw down a harsh threat, "Don't be too arrogant. Your marriage to Kwana is just a transaction. The E family wants the children, you can't stop us." I walked her to the door, the wind lifting the hem of my dress. "Then sue me. Go to court. Let's see how badly you lose." I sneered softly. "If you want to take the children from me, you'll have to kneel and apologize first." She stumbled into the car, slamming the door shut. That night, in Kwana's study, I opened my computer. The legal team had already drafted a new document, counterclaim proposal, official declaration of E family's abandonment of children application for restraining order. Yes, I was going on the offensive. They didn't deserve to touch my children or even mention the word ancestors. This time, I wasn't fighting alone. It was me and my children, protecting our own surname. The news exploded. E family illegitimate child scandal abandoned and bride appears to counter-accuse Kwana family's new heirs revealed at 3 a.m. My lawyer formally sent the counterclaim materials to the E family. along with records of abandonment at the wedding 7 years ago and unilateral desertion of wife and children, to the family court. Attached was a handwritten statement I'd written myself, no frills. No exaggeration. Just a raw account of every detail of giving birth alone. They said I was an unworthy woman. That my children were bastards. But I alone climbed down from the operating table. Spent 7 nights by the incubator. And never let go of the children even when feverish and dehydrated. I am worthy. And so are my children. The E family tried to attack my marriage to Kwana. But they didn't expect me to voluntarily publish the prenuptial agreement. Yes, having fulfilled my say. I admitted our marriage had started as a transaction. But transactions have nothing to do with dignity. The real question should be about the man who disappeared on our wedding day, ignored us for 7 years, and now had the audacity to acknowledge one's ancestors and return to the clan. I also attached the recordings they tried to hide Ethan's mother forcing me to sign a prenuptial property waiver, making me disappear on our wedding day, and threatening me with an abortion to end the marriage. As soon as the recordings were released, netizens erupted. The E family mother-in-law is truly vicious to the bone. Is this what real Phoenix Rising looks like? Giving birth alone, building a family, and making a comeback? Support her all the way. 7 years ago, she was thrown out. Now she's here to claim her crown. In just 2 days, Kwana family stock soared 12, while the E family held emergency board meetings all night. And me? I stood in front of the live camera, wearing a black power suit, holding the newly approved court document, Statement of Permanent Sole Custody of Children. A reporter asked, Ms. Lewis, the E family now wants the children to acknowledge one's ancestors and return to the clan. What's your response? I looked into the camera and said clearly, if they want ancestors, having fulfilled my ancestors, they can bear their own children. The room was silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. That night, when I got home, Ethan was waiting at my door. He looked at me, his eyes bloodshot. Voice hoarse, do you really have to force me to break with you? I leaned against the doorframe, my smile ice cold. You shattered that face 7 years ago. Now you want to stitch it back together? He took a step closer, so near I could almost smell his cologne. You still love me, don't you? You can't really be so heartless. I slapped him across the face, sharp and unhesitating. He froze. Ifan, I didn't come here to be forgiven. I'm here to make your entire family kneel and admit they were wrong. I closed the door. The children ran down the stairs. Leo held his dinosaur plushie and said, Mommy, you look like a queen. That's because. I knelt down and hugged both boys. I am one. Vivian was back. 7 years ago. She'd been the resurrected first love. The reason Ethan abandoned me and our wedding. 7 years later, she'd become a symbol of inspiration reborn. Charitable. Survivor of childhood cancer. Praised by the media. Flooded with brand deals. With even my son's teacher sharing her speeches in class. This time, she held a press conference as Ethan's Fang Key. Standing in front of E Group headquarters in a white dress. She said gently, we're willing to welcome those 2 children. After all, children are innocent. As soon as she spoke, the live stream exploded. I sat in the Kwana family boardroom, staring at the screen, slowly screwing the cap back on my pen. She wanted to whitewash her image? Fine. I'd make sure she was stripped bare in front of the public. At 10 p.m. I had my assistant upload a video. It was only 2 minutes long, footage from 7 years ago. Hours before Ethan disappeared on our wedding day, showing Vivian sneaking into the E family mansion blurry, but confirmed by security cameras and facial recognition. She hadn't been in a hospital. She hadn't had a car accident. In the video, she carried a bottle of pills into Ethan's room. Half an hour later, Ethan called off the wedding. The internet erupted. She wasn't in a car accident? Did she drug Ethan? Was the wedding 7 years ago staged? The war between women is just beginning. Isn't it? Vivian issued a statement the next day claiming the video was fake. I didn't respond. Just released her hospital records, no admission records. No injury reports from that night. What truly broke her was the children. When the media swarmed the Kwana family gate, Leo stood at the door and said to the cameras, "Mommy says liars aren't even worth a dog's attention." Kwana stood behind him like an executioner delivering a death sentence. The Kwana family does not tolerate anyone attempting to gain attention by exploiting children. Anyone. Vivian collapsed at her third press conference. She screamed uncontrollably. "I just wanted my man back. I died for him once, why should I hide in the shadows?" In that moment, everyone fell silent. Not because she was hysterical, but because she'd finally admitted the resurrection car accident had been a calculated hunt from start to finish. "I hunt for me." Soon after, I received notice from the court, based on evidence and long-term custody records. Legal guardianship of the twin boys is awarded to Ms. Kwana, permanently binding. The E family was also ordered to stay away from the children under any pretext. I hung up the phone and sat on the sofa. Outside the window, reporters with cameras swarmed. Behind me, the children upstairs chattered about making desserts. Vivian had collapsed. The E family was in ruins. And Ethan remained silent. But in this battle, I'd won. The shareholder meeting that day wasn't originally a public event for the Kwana family. But this time, Kwana for the first time ever invited the media and required all core executives to attend in formal attire. I knew he was about to make his move. And I, already dressed in the black and gold power suit symbolizing Mrs. Kwana, held Leo and Liam's hands and walked step by step into the top floor boardroom of Kwana Tower. As the doors opened, dozens of pairs of eyes instantly focused on us three. The boys didn't flinch. Like trained heirs, they nodded politely and stood beside Kwana. He gently held their small hands in his and spoke with more resolve than ever. "I announce that from today, Leo and Liam are officially listed as heirs of the Kwana family, with first priority." The room was silent for 3 full seconds. Then erupted in chaos. A Kwana shareholder stood up abruptly. "President Kwana, are you with first priority?" The room was silent for 3 full seconds. Then erupted in chaos. A Kwana shareholder stood up abruptly. "President Kwana, are you insane? They aren't your biological children." Kwana remained unfazed. "They are my legal heirs. Registered under my name. What about the Ethan family? Will Ethan allow you to steal his children?" I stood up, my gaze as sharp as a blade. "These children have never belonged to the Ethan family. They weren't stolen, they were claimed." On the screen appeared the court judgment in my hand. Leo and Liam, matrilineal direct heirs. Custody awarded to Ms. Lewis. Surname permanently registered under the Kwana family after registration. Kwana continued, his voice chillingly steady. "When I married their mother 7 years ago, I decided all of this. From today onward, the Kwana family will no longer clean up after others' stupidity. We don't serve as backups. Nor do we pick up scraps." The room erupted in chaos. Meanwhile, the Ethan family boardroom was dead silent. Ethan sat at the head of the table, pale-faced, as the lawyer handed him a document, partial overseas accounts of E-Group frozen. Partners defecting to Kwana family. He stared fixedly at the photo on the screen, me and the children, standing at the center of the Kwana family hall as everyone applauded. He finally understood that his mistake was never about a single wedding, but about losing 3 bloodlines capable of rewriting an entire family's destiny. That day, his mother smashed a cup and cried to him, "You've cut off our future at the root." When we returned home that night, I saw Leo and Liam sitting on the balcony, discussing whether CEO or chairman sounded cooler over milk. "Leo, you can be CEO. And I'll be chairman." "Okay. Then I'll help you pick your wife." I laughed at the door. Liam turned to ask me, "Mommy, are we little princes with a kingdom now?" I walked over and stroked their heads. "No. We've just reclaimed the crown that was always yours." Ethan stood at the entrance of the CAF, wearing his most formal suit and the dark blue tie I had chosen for him years ago. I sat by the window, with Leo and Liam across from me, completing their teacher's project proposal in English, one as CEO, the other as brand director, clearly divided in roles and arguing non-stop. I knew Ethan had been standing outside for nearly 15 minutes. When he entered, the children looked up at him, their expressions as calm as if facing a stranger. He forced a smile. "See, can I talk to you for a moment?" Leo looked down to continue writing. Liam turned to me. "Mommy." "Who is he?" Ethan's hand trembled slightly. I gestured for the bodyguards to step back and said coolly. "He's someone who used to know you." Liam eyed him with suspicion. "Are you part of the Quana family?" He opened his mouth. "I am. Your father." Leo suddenly laughed. It was not a child's laugh, but a calm, controlled laugh that belonged to an adult. "I thought fathers don't miss your first birthday or let doctors say, no one to sign, when you're sick," Liam added quietly. "Or make mommy carry us to the emergency room alone at night." Ethan was being sliced apart, word by word, the color draining from his face. I know I was wrong. He nearly ground his teeth. "I didn't know she was pregnant." "So you disappeared from the wedding so you wouldn't have to take responsibility?" Leo's voice was ice cold. "You didn't just miss a wedding, you missed her entire life." He finally understood they weren't heartless. They were too sensible. Too sensible to not know, this man did not deserve to be called dad. I stood up and walked to Ethan's side. Looking at the man who had once made me miserable. "It's not just a child's growth you missed. It's 2 entire childhoods. Their first daddy. Their first cry after falling. Their hands clutching mine when they had a 100 for F fever. Were you there? Where were you?" Ethan's eyes reddened. His voice breaking. "I want to make amends. What can I do? Please give me a chance." "It's not that I won't give you a chance." I spoke softly. "It's that time won't." He dropped to his knees, grabbing my legs. "I'm begging you. Let me at least watch them grow up. I won't fight. Won't argue. Won't speak. I just want." I gently pushed him away. "You don't deserve to stand by them. Just as you didn't deserve to stand at the end of my wedding aisle." I left the CAF with the children. Looking back, I saw Ethan still kneeling there. Finally understanding that some things missed can never be retrieved with an apology. The children asked me, "Is he crying?" I nodded. "Yes." Leo frowned. "Adults are strange. They cry after missing things. But crying doesn't help." I stroked his head. "That's right. Some people, once missed, can never return to the game." Ethan's last appearance before me was at a charity gala. Wearing a black tuxedo, he stood at the center of the stage, microphone in hand, and spoke slowly. "There's someone I want to address. 7 years ago, I left her to walk that red carpet alone at our wedding. 7 years later, I finally understand she never needed me to meet her, she's always been the one leading the way. Today, I just want to ask her one question, if I'm willing to start over. Will you look back at me?" The room fell silent. I stepped forward from the crowd. Reporters, board members, and socialites parted ways. All eyes on me in a floor-length navy gown with a high slit, wearing custom Quana family crown earrings. With Leo and Liam standing side by side behind me like true twin princes. I walked onto the stage, took the microphone, and stood directly across from him. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot, his palms sweating. He thought I would hesitate. He was wrong. Looking at him, I said clearly, "Ethan, if you'd said this 7 years ago, I would have cried and said yes. But now," I smiled, my gaze as cold as a blade, "I don't need someone who looks back. I need someone who helps me ascend to the throne. And that throne is now mine." Thunderous applause erupted. Quana stood below, raising a glass in a silent toast. His eyes holding not possession, but pride. Vivian had long withdrawn from public view. The Ethan family was completely merged into the Quana Empire, retaining only a marginal foundation. I officially became chairwoman of the Quana family, leading the education of my 2 children, who were named public heirs of the Quana family. The media called them the twin stars of the new Quana dynasty. I stood in the position I had once only admired from afar, not because of who I loved, but because I had finally learned never to confine myself to any man's shadow. After the gala, Leo took my hand and asked, "Mommy, will you really never love Ethan again?" I knelt to look at him calmly. Love was in the past. We are walking toward the future. Liam looked up. "Are we your greatest love?" I hugged them both and whispered, "You are the entire reason I reclaimed my world." Epilogue. Ethan, I used to think time could be reversed. As long as I bowed my head, admitted my mistakes, and showed enough pain, she would forgive me. But after 7 years, I realized that some people, once they turn away, vanish to heights you can never reach. She no longer belongs to me. She never truly did. I remember our first fight. When my mother said she wasn't worthy of the Ethan family. She stood at the staircase, eyes full of hurt but refusing to shed a single tear. Back then, I thought, she's too stubborn. I didn't understand it wasn't stubbornness, but the dignity she struggled to maintain. The last courage she had to keep from letting me see her bow. But I didn't protect her. I let my mother humiliate her. I disappeared on her wedding day, the day she needed me most, because Vivian said, "I'm dying. Can I see you one last time?" She stood alone on that stage, the entire city mocking her, while I played along with someone who should have been long gone in a hospital corridor. When she said she was leaving, I didn't chase her. I thought she was just to act out a pique. Until one day, in a foreign finance magazine, I saw her holding 2 children, called the Queen of Revenge. That's when I knew I hadn't just lost a woman, I had lost 2 sons. A family, heading to Velvet, and an entire life that had once been mine. She took our future. But she didn't take my love for her. Because I don't deserve it. Do I love her? Of course I do. When I chose that wedding dress, I wondered if she'd cry when she put it on. Every night after learning she was pregnant, I wanted to rush to her, hold her, kiss her belly, and say, "I'm sorry." I even fantasized about teaching Leo to ride a bike, helping Liam with homework, singing at birthday cakes, but in reality, she taught them to read alone, signed their surgery forms during fevers, and pulled 2 lives from the ruins. I wasn't even there. I missed too much. So now, I can't even bring myself to say the word love. Because love shouldn't be a corpse of regret. She has won. Completely. Decently. And without needing me. And I can only watch on TV as she puts on her crown, takes our children, and stands where I can never reach. Their names are Leo and Liam now. That's not her revenge on me. It's her final answer: you are no longer their father. You are no longer worthy to say you love me.